Before we walk into the Shadowlands, we cast Light on our bow. This will protect us from the lesser effects of the Shadow Chaos, so we don't have to worry about holding torches in our hands. We start our journey by taking out the absolute Pilgrims, who are waiting for their guide to get to Moonrise Towers. Taking out the Pilgrims will make it a lot easier for us to kill Karnas. But we are not going to fight him alone, as this would be a bit too risky with our current build. Instead, we use our intimidation proficiency to avoid getting attacked by him, so we can fight him later at the Harper Ambush. But first we take our next level up. At level 7 we take the Wizard class, which allows us to learn the haste spell to a scroll later in this run. Additionally, we get a third level 2 spell slot and the ability to restore a level 1 spell slot once per long rest. Before we walk into the ambush, we use Enlarge and heal ourselves to increase our damage. When the fight starts, we initially remain on Karnas' side to avoid getting attacked by him on the first turn. Once it's our turn, however, we will immediately attack him and turn him hostile. After that we jump up the building to be at a safe distance from him and use the Harpers as meat shields, while we shoot him down. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough damage to kill him before he kills all the Harpers, so I had to make a run for it for one turn. After we killed Karnas, we take his Moonlantern and free the Pixie to get her blessing against the Shadow Curse. Now that we are protected from the Shadow Curse, it's time to go on our daily shopping tour. Starting in Last Night Inn, we talk to Quartermaster Tali. She will sell us the Cloak of Protection, which increases our AC and our saving throws by 1. Especially the +1 on our saving throws will be very important later in our fight against Myrkul. Next we head over to Dammon and give him some infernal iron to craft us the Flat Helldust gloves. These gloves will increase our weapon damage by 1d4 fire damage. Now we come to the most important trader for us, Barkos. He will sell us a bunch of special arrows and the gloves of the Automaton, which are one of the best gloves in the entire game. They have the ability to turn you into a construct for 10 turns, which will give you advantage on all of your weapon attack rolls and resistance to lightning damage. And the best part about it is that you will keep this buff even if you unequip them after using the ability. In Moonrise Towers we buy the 2 potions of Angelic Reprieve from Lan Tar. These potions will help us to regain our spell slots without losing our Bless and Morningrot's Radiance buff. From Roar Moonglow we buy the Drakethroat Glaive. This glaive can turn a weapon of our choice into an elemental weapon, increasing its attack and damage rolls by +1. Additionally, it also deals an additional 1d4 elemental damage of your choice. To get this buff onto a weapon of your choice as a solo character, you simply need to drop your weapon on the ground and target it. And last but not least, we forced our little pet vampire to bite Arash for the everlasting strength potions. One quick note before we finish our shopping tour, I of course also bought all the special arrows from all the traders who sell some, and will continue to do so after every level up, which will reset their inventory. So hopefully I will have enough special arrows when it's time to face Myrkul. Since we are already at Moonrise, we head into the prison to free the prisoners. Before we start killing the guards, we throw the flying ice in the chasm to avoid having the entire tower on alarm. Once that is done, we can easily kill the guards one by one. Upon killing the warden, we get the Spellcroak's amulet, which is another amulet that allows us to restore one of our spell slots. Now that all the guards are dead, we can safely free all of the prisoners without any interference and take the boat to Last Night Inn. Having freed the prisoners, it's now time to kill all the shadow creatures lurking around for some easy XP. An important stop hereby is the masonry. Inside the masonry is a hidden room where you can get a scroll of knock. This scroll will be very important later once we enter the Gauntlet of Shar. The first Thorm sibling we are going to kill is Thisobald Thorm. He is by far the easiest one to defeat. All you have to do is to attack him or one of these zombies to trigger the combat. And then you just run outside of the distillery behind this big wood. Since Thisobald is too fat to walk through the one gap, he will instead just stay behind the wood, skipping his turns. Now, some of you might call this cheesy, I call it positional advantage. Before we take on the other two Thorms, we head to Moonrise Towers for some good old murder and get the remaining XP we need to level up. At level 8, we take the Paladin class and choose the Oath of Vengeance. This oath will give us the Inquisitor's Might, adding another damage buff to our disposal. But more important, the Oath of Vengeance is an oath that is rather hard to break compared to the other ones. And I don't want to miss out on my achievement for this one, as breaking your oath technically counts as respecking. As always before facing Gerringothe, you want to get rid of all your gold, unless you enjoy getting one-shotted. For our pre-boss we only use Mirror Image to avoid getting hit by her coin whips. When fighting Gerringothe you do not want to attack her directly, instead you want to kill the flying skulls fighting alongside her. As every skull you kill will remove one level of your coin armor. Just don't be stupid like me and destroy her coin armor while staying next to her, or your run could meet a golden ending very quickly. After killing 5 flying skulls, she's down to 107 HP, which is low enough that we can kill her in one turn. If I wouldn't be such a greedy bastard and use 2 arrows of undead slaying, and not only 1. Against Malus Thorm we throw a speed potion and a healing potion in front of us, so that we can collect them once we engage him. But before we do that we use a potion of Angelic Slumber. This potion will restore all of our spell slots and even reset all of our short and long rest cooldowns. Now that all of our cooldowns are reset, we can again use Shriek, Enlarge and Divine Favor for our pre-boss. Once we are in combat, we collect our healing potion to trigger our poison amulet and our speed potion for the extra action point. Then we use our arrows of many targets to take out the sisters. Once we took out all of the sisters, we can start using arrows of undead slaying to take Malus out. Now, the best thing to do here would be simply to refill my speed potion. But you know, I'm a greedy bastard, so instead I use Sanctuary and let it run out. Which made things a little more complicated, since Malus can resurrect the sisters. But as long as you keep some distance between yourself and him, there isn't much he can do. To save Isobel, all we do in preparation is to throw a speed potion on the ground to collect later and drink a potion of Angelic Reprieve to refill our spell slots. Though, to be fair, I should have used Divine Favor before I triggered the cutscene, so I have a concentration spell active for the strange conduit ring. Anyway, we collect our speed potion and hit Marcus with 2 arrows of Ilmatea, as these arrows deal some extra necrotic damage and will prevent him from healing. After that we use Sanctuary on Isobel, which will protect her from any further attack from the ghouls, since he is going last in turn order. Kinda funny that Marcus still tries to use his AoE heal, even though he can't heal at the moment. Well, not my problem. We finish him off and make sure that the ghouls can't swarm Isobel. Now we come to one of the tougher fights in this act, trying to protect Halsin's portal from the shadow creatures. The things we do for XP. For this fight I actually went back to Daemon to buy the Darkfire shortbow, since I still didn't get a haste scroll from the traders. We also are going to use the Elixir of Bloodlust instead of the Strength Elixir, because the extra action point will be more important than the additional damage for the masses of enemies we are about to face. We use the haste spell from the Darkfire shortbow and do a quick heal for the extra poison damage right before the fight starts. Your first priority is to take out the enemy rangers, as they can shoot on Halsin's portal very quickly. After that you want to take out the shadows, simply because they are the closest to the portal. You can ignore the wave, as he will focus all his attacks on you and will not go for the portal. Also, whenever you end your turn, don't forget to switch to your melee weapon, so you can do an opportunity attack against enemies that try to walk past you. Now, I think this is a good example how important extra attack is on your martial character, because usually it wouldn't be so hard to defend the portal, but without extra attack or any good AoE spells, you're just getting overrun, and there isn't anything you can do about it. However, since we are at the beach, we can use Thunder Wave and our Airs of Roaring Thunder to push our enemies in the water as a last effort to save the portal. This worked out reasonably well, but unfortunately there is still one Zealot left and we can't push him off the cliff for some reason. So all we can do is to stay next to him, draw our melee weapon, and hope we kill him with an opportunity attack. Not even close. This is as far as I go with this quest though, as fighting Oliver is just not worth the risk. Now it's time we head into the Gauntlet of Shar and bleed the corpse dry. For the fight against Balthazar, we simply use the Nox scroll we got from the Masonry and force him to join the fight against the Justiciars. And while they are fighting, we just keep a low profile and then kill the remaining Justiciars once they won the fight. I know, it's a very boring way to fight him, but it is also the safest one. Just don't attack the Justiciars with your bow if you still have the Morning Lord's Radiance buff active. With Balthazar dead, we progress deeper into the Gauntlet of Shar and complete their trials to collect the Umbral gems. On the self-same trial, we also get the Killer's Sweetheart Ring, which allows us to force a critical hit once per long rest. This is going to be an important damage boost for us against Myrkul. Before I proceed to fight Yurgir, I take out his Displacer Beast so that I don't have to worry about it later. There is only one minor issue with that. Yurgir walked forwards to the broken stairs. I never saw this happen before. Usually he just sits up here and skips his turns like all the Meragons. Maybe the AI changed their mind because it took me forever to take out the Displacer Beast? I don't know. However, the big issue with that is that now I'm forced to stay rather close to him when I attack him, which means I will always be in range for him. And this is very bad, as he can just one-shot me if he decides to throw his bombs at me. So I had to come up with a plan. And I decided to learn the Cheeky Crossed Scroll with my wizard class to get Shovel as a summon. Shovel has the ability to turn himself invisible for an infinite amount of time. which is perfect for the idea I have. Now we replace the Elixir of Strength with an Elixir of Vigilance. This puts our initiative to +9 compared to the +8 from Yurgir. Which means most of the time we are going to get the first move against him. And this is very important, because if we don't get the first move against him, we are most likely just dead. The only problem of course is, without our Strength Elixir, we are not dealing that much damage. So I put a Strength Elixir on the ground and move it as far to the front as I can. Then I throw a Speed Potion in front of it and pre-wolf myself using Survival Instinct. This will hopefully save my life if I don't get the first move against him. I engage combat by using a Fiend Slaying Arrow, and as planned I got the first move against him. So I collect my Speed Potion and move the Strength Elixir as close to me as possible. Once I've done that, I use Shovel to destroy the potion, which causes my character to instantly collect it and receive the buff.
What now?
Now I can cast Hex on Yurgir for the extra damage and hit him with another Fiend Slaying Arrow. After that we want to run away as far as we can and use Shovel as our meat shield. Well, this worked out perfectly. Let's quickly finish the remaining Marigons and be done with it. Now we quickly snipe the Githyanki to get the remaining XP we need for level 9. I know, I said I didn't want to abuse the stealth mechanics, but against the Githyanki I gladly violate this rule. At level 9 we take the Druid class. Spell-wise we don't really get anything good out of it, except maybe the good berries, if you don't want to spend a shitload of healing potions to keep your poison damage up. But all this doesn't really matter, as the real reason why we picked this class is simply because it unlocks our level 3 spell slots. So we hopefully can use the haste spell from now on if we get a scroll from the traders. I didn't get a scroll. Also, I didn't get a single undead special arrow, so we have one undead arrow for the entire fight against Myrkul. At least I got a Cloud Giant Strength Elixir, so that's something. Anyway, before we enter the Shadowfell, we sneak into Shar's vault to get the Dark Justiciar helmet. This is a great defensive helmet against Myrkul, as it improves our saving throws on constitution checks and against spells. Inside the Shadowfell we then free the Night Song, so she will help us in the fight against Myrkul. In our storm against Moonrise Towers we simply use Fly to take the high ground and let the Harpers take all the damage, while we sit up here, safely shooting them down.
There's an Illithid parasite in that corpse.
Before we go up and face Ketheric, we use our last potion of Angelic Slumber to reset all of our cooldowns and get our spell slots back. Then we pre-buff ourselves using Enlarge, a potion of Flying, Oil of Sharpness, Shriek, Divine Favor, Divine Sense and a Speed Potion. The Flying Potion allows us to fly up to Ketheric in our first turn, while also still having enough movement left to leave again after we attacked him. And this even if we use Brace to get better damage rolls. Because we use Divine Sense, we also have advantage on our attack rolls, which makes it very unlikely that we will miss any of them. Unfortunately we still don't have enough damage to kill him in one turn, but because of our Flying Potion and Harmstrong, he will not be able to reach us and we can finish him in the next turn. After Ketheric left the fight, we need to kill the Necromancer, so she stops spawning Necromines, and then just clean up the rest. Now, this is the moment where I should have said goodbye to my Bless and Morning Lord's Radiance buff, because I just don't have enough undead slaying arrows to kill Myrkul. But I didn't, so here we are inside the Illithid Colony with only one undead slaying arrow. Inside the Illithid Colony we can get a bunch of XP for killing more or less everyone inside of it, which also could potentially get you up to level 10 if you gathered enough XP beforehand. In my case I didn't, so I will not be able to reach level 10 here. One of your missions inside the Illithid Colony would be to free Us, but I failed to save him on the Nautilite, so he's not here. Which is pretty bad actually, since Us is the perfect summon to trigger a surprise attack in the upcoming final boss fight. The last thing we can do before we have to fight Myrkul is to solve a puzzle to get the Waking Mind. If you then talk to the Waking Mind, you get the option to purge it, which will give you the Githyanki Mind Barrier buff. Not the most useful buff for our build, but since we can get it for free, there is no reason not to get it. Also, this is the exact spot where you can find the Resonance Stone. The Resonance Stone won't help us now, since undead are immune to its effect, but most enemies in the third act are not, so it will be very useful once we get there. Before you go down to Myrkul, be sure to trigger the effect of the killer's Sweetheart Ring, because once you use Restoration right before the fight, its cooldown will be reset and you can force 2 critical hits in one fight. Now, some of you who watched the full fight against Myrkul in my last video might already notice that something is a little off here. Since in that video I had a lot more special arrows and I also had Us as a summon. And the reason for this is simply that this is the same one, but not exactly the same one. To put it short, I died. Which is not a big surprise if you think about it. Trying to take on Myrkul like this with only one undead slaying arrow is crazy. But to put this into a perspective, I thought I don't need these arrows because of the damage stacking I did on my bow, which already puts me on a rather high base damage. At least in theory. Because one big part I forgot is that Myrkul has the Magical Plate passive feature, which reduces every incoming damage by 2. So this means to deal damage with all my different damage types, I need an above average damage roll, 3 or 4, to even deal damage with that type. To put it short, damage stacking is not very effective against Myrkul. On top of that, without the haste spell, I struggled a lot to remain concentration spells for the strange conduit ring and also my haste condition from the speed potions. This shit just doesn't work. I was too cocky and I paid the full price for it. Time to start over. Alright, here we are, 15 hours later, with enough special arrows this time. If you wonder how I got this many, I simply spammed long rests at the crash until I had enough special arrows for the fight. This way I also was able to keep the Bless and Morning Lord's Radiance buff. I also took the Boots of Striding with me this time. These boots will protect me from getting pulled by Myrkul's Call of the Damned ability. But even more important, this time I got a haste scroll, so I can finally learn the haste spell and do not have to worry about concentration and the haste condition for the first couple of turns. And last but not least, I have Us as a summon, so I don't have to waste one of my own attacks to trigger the surprise attack. The only downside this time is that I unfortunately didn't get a Cloud Giant Strength Elixir, but this should be fine. Alright, let's get to it. Second and hopefully final try. We use Scratch and Us as our summons, as they will help us to free Aelin and to trigger a surprise attack against Ketheric. After we summoned them, we immediately throw an invisibility potion at them, as this allows us to move them in position while we do our own pre-buffs. For our pre-buffs I use Mirror Image to increase our AC, Enlarge, Shriek and Oil of Sharpness to increase our damage, Haste for the extra action point, and the Gloss of the Automaton for the advantage on our weapon attack rolls. Just don't forget to unequip them again after you use the buff. With the help of an invisibility potion, we are able to get close to Ketheric and then use us to trigger the surprise attack. Once the fight started, you immediately need to switch to Scratch so he can free Aelin before his invisibility potion runs out. Now we are going to attack Ketheric with our undead slaying arrows. If you don't get a natural crit with one of your undead slaying arrows, you need to force one on your second arrow. Because without this crit it's not guaranteed that you will kill him with your bonus action attack. And it's very important that you kill Ketheric in the first round, because only when he transforms into the Apostle of Myrkul, Aelin will focus all of her attacks on him. Unfortunately she missed her attacks, but at least we tried. On our second turn we use Brace and spend all our actions to attack Myrkul. Remember, at this point you do not want to force a critical hit unless the game tells you you are going to miss your attack, because this way you can turn an attack that will miss into a critical hit. Aelin is not in her best form, isn't she? At least Myrkul attacked us, so she still has some chances left to do some damage. The Mind Flayer used Domination on Aelin, which is to be expected, as he pretty much always does this if he can reach her. This means we need to attack him now so we can break Aelin free. The best way to do this is by using arrows of many targets, because this way we also deal some damage to Myrkul. I also decided to use my bonus action attack to push him off the platform, since I failed to kill him, to hopefully avoid getting hit by his Mind Blast. Finally, that was a pretty good hit. I doubt that we will get much more out of her, but this was still a decent result. Again, the Mind Flayer used Domination on Aelin, and now it's time to finally kill him. Unfortunately we miss our attack on him, but since this kill is too important, I have to force the critical hit on him, even though it doesn't feel too good to use this on him. Since Shriek went out, there is no reason for us anymore to stay next to Myrkul. And without the mirror images, it's also too risky. So I teleport away using a Misty Step scroll. I put myself next to a Necromite so I can do an opportunity attack on him when he tries to run to Myrkul. Alright, Aelin went down, which means coming forth we need to tank a lot of damage. We also need to look out that we kill the Necromites whenever we can, to deny Myrkul as much healing as we can. To heal ourselves, we are going to use a lot of our Darth meat that we got in the first act, since as Dark Earth we can use it without spending an action. Myrkul's Finger of Death is not as dangerous as it seems, because our Constitution saving throws are very high. Additionally, we also have resistance to necrotic damage from Isobel's Blessing and our Adamantine Splint armor, which both greatly reduce the damage we take. At this point, all we have to do is to outdamage his healing, which is not so easy as it seems, because if the Necromites approach him from multiple sides, we can't prevent him from healing. And unfortunately, we only deal a little bit more damage than the amount he heals. So in the end, we are just waiting for a good situation, while trying to keep the number of Nekomites and Myrkul's XP as low as we can.
Ad Maior de Gloria.
Now, we are a bit in a tough situation, as I want to reapply the Oil of Sharpness on my bow to keep my accuracy and damage as high as possible, but I also need to refill my speed potion. But there is a little trick you can do with your arrows of many targets. By putting a potion in front of you, you can target it with your arrows of many targets and then destroy it, which will cause you to immediately collect this potion while still dealing damage to your enemies, since the arrow will jump to them. Unfortunately, the arrows will not jump between potions, so you can only destroy one at a time. Now we finally get the setup we wanted for the past few turns, as there is only one Nekomite close enough to heal Myrkul. So we kill the Nekomite using our arrows of many targets, to then hopefully kill Myrkul in our next turn. Unfortunately, one of our arrows missed Myrkul and he has still 60 HP left, which is a bit much for us to deal in one turn. So I decided not to take the risk and go for the, in my opinion, more safe option. I used Divine Favor to increase my damage, shoot one arrow of Undead Slaying at Myrkul and kill the Nekomite next to him. And now I'm thinking, fuck, I forgot the speed potion. Luckily, there is still one thing we can do to save ourselves, and that is to walk next to the skeletal Involcure and drop a speed potion in front of us. The skeletal Involcure will then explode, destroy the speed potion, and we will collect it. We will still go lethargic for one turn, but this way we at least have the speed potion ready once it's our turn again. So, we use one last staff meat to heal us, which to be fair was a bit greedy, but as long as Myrkul doesn't get his Finger of Death ability, we should be good. And he shouldn't get it, so I was rather confident I will survive this. Alright, we got him. If we hit our attacks, that is. Now, me healing up here was actually a big mistake, because there is no way Myrkul would deal 19 damage to me with his Gaze of the Death ability. So all I did with this heal was to reduce my hit chance by removing the Loviatas Law of condition. But in the end, I hit both of my attacks, so it's all good. Thank you for watching. For those who are interested, I plan to get my internet fixed, so maybe there will be some streams starting next month. I don't know. We will see how long all of this is going to take. That's all. See you soon.